Welcome into the Tool Shed. I am Warren Seegers, and this is a show where we talk about home improvement and home ownership. Spring is close around the corner, and with that, I start thinking about getting out and working on the yard. I got to get all the leaves off my yard first before I do anything like that. But I've been thinking a lot about water features. And with me tonight is Krys Yacks, who is with Aquascapes of Michiana. Krys, how are you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Tell me the basics about Aquascapes. What do you guys do?
So, Aquascapes of Michiana, we are a design, installation, and a service and maintenance company for ponds, waterfalls, and water features.
Awesome. Now, I want to talk about, I always preface this, I'm a DIY guy. I like to do it if I can do it, but there are some projects that you should never try on your own. And me personally, I'm thinking this is one that I don't need to try this. I need to have you come in and help me with my water feature project.
I would say that's the safest assumption you could put out there.
You know, you go to the home improvement stores, they make it look easy. Of course, they got these little setups with blocks around it and rocks in it, and it's in the wading pool thing. Give me your perspective on that box store water feature small pond.
So what we like to call those are the hardware store specials is what we call those. They're not built for, I mean, obviously any type of water that you're going to have, it can't be stagnant. You've got to circulate it, you've got to filter it, it's got to stay clean. And you know, basically everything that we do is we're building an ecosystem. And you know what we like to call it from a certified aquascape contractor's perspective is we're biomimicry is what we call it. And,
that's a big fancy word.
It is a big fancy word, and it comes from my friend Ed Ballou, who is actually a limnologist. He
Another one.
Exactly. He's a limnologist, and he studies freshwater systems. And he's actually, him and another man named Greg Whitstock, the owner of Aquascape Inc., is who I get all of my certifications from and all my training from. They own a company called Aquascape Inc. Aquascape Inc. is the world's largest pond product manufacturer and installer in the world.
Wow.
So
let's talk about water features, because this is interesting. When you came over the other day and we were talking about the show, I took you down into what we call the greenhouse where we wanted to do a water feature. And in my mind, a water feature is rocks flowing with water. I guess that might be the stereotypical idea, but you gave us a whole different idea, and then I realized it's like, you know what? There are more than one type of water feature. Give me some examples of water features that are out there that people aren't familiar with.
So some of the things that I offer for design and install, we call them vases. We have a stacked slated vase, we have a scalloped vase, and we have a rippled vase. So basically it looks like a vase, you know, and the plumbing goes through the center of it, and it comes out the top, and it just ripples on down. Great for small spaces, for areas that you can't dig too deep or anything like that, or you can't hold you just can't hold as much water in that area.
Right.
We have them, they look like a ball. It looks like just a big, huge ball that looks like stacked stone. We have what are called basalt columns, which are actually a real stone. Basalt columns are actually a natural forming rock.
Okay.
And what some companies do is they actually cut those out, and they kind of put a little bit of it's flat on bottom, and kind of put a little bit of an angle, and then they drill a hole through the center, and then we just plumb it right up through the bottom there, and we put a light in it so you can actually see it at night, and it same thing. And then the other thing that we have, which what you and I were talking about, was we have spillway bowls.
Right.
Spillway bowls are great. They're awesome. They're actually made out of a composite material, and I mean they're big. One's a 40-inch bowl, the other one's about a 32-inch bowl, and I mean for a small space, especially a higher elevation, to where you have a big, huge drop, but you have a smaller space, they're great for that, because the pump at the bottom in the basin will actually pump that up to that bowl, and they'll spill in the next bowl. They'll spill in the next bowl, and then in the next bowl, and then back down into the basin.
So, and then repeats.
And then it repeats, and it goes right through.
all over.
Yep.
So I would imagine even in those those different styles you taught, the different looks I mean, how many different looks can you get with the bowl, the bowls
Oh
themselves?
man, so Aquascape has one. They have one color, and it's kind of like a patinaed turquoise, green, blue. But then there are other companies out there. They have they have copper, bronze. Like you can get pretty lavish and extravagant with these things in what you want to do. And the great thing about those is they don't just have to be a bowl sitting there by itself and then you see the surrounding area. What we can actually do is we can actually take rock and we can actually cut that rock or chisel that rock out to actually fit around there. So it looks like it's a bowl that just sits in a natural setting of stone.
So it's like a natural pedestal.
Exactly.
That is awesome. So, what would you say is the number one mistake the DIYer does with their home water features?
I say this with all the love in my heart, especially for you because I know you're an avid DIYer, is don't lie to yourself when you're in too deep. And that's really what it is because what happens is generally a lot of DIYers, there's a reason why they're DIYers, because they have great minds. They have great creative, they have that image and they have the ability to have that image in their head. But what happens is because they don't know the product or they don't know the process, or even some landscapers who say they do water features. They have the vision, but they don't have the technical knowledge to be able to pull it off. So at one point, you got to fix this problem. So, I mean, if you're pointing true north and you got to fix that problem, you get a little bit off, and then you multiply that by 20. Instead of being true north, you're like all the way over here. And then by the time you're done, you're like, what did I do? And then at that point, you're in over your head.
And that's why friends of mine like Kayleen McCabe actually had a show called Rescue Renovation.
Yes, exactly why.
So, I'm going to go ahead and show your video.
Cool.
That explains a lot more in detail about your product and what you guys do at Aquascape. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
My name is Krys Yacks. I'm the owner of Aquascapes of Michiana. And what Aquascapes of Michiana does is we do ponds, waterfalls, and water features. This particular project was done for one of our clients. They bought the property about 4 years ago, took the first year and redid the entire inside when they bought it. And then after that, they wanted to transform. They told us that this was a barren wasteland is the exact terms that they used. And what we did is we created basically what we like to call a backyard oasis. So that way they can come out here and enjoy their water feature and their landscaping and their plants and the colors and all of that year round. And we did a waterfall into a pond. And then from the pond, once the pond gets full, goes into another waterfall and through another series of waterfalls, and then finally drops into a final basin, which is then pumped back up into the filtration system, gone through the ecology, and then starts all over again. And then from there, we also did the dry stack stone. We did the flagstone that you see here around everything. We did the dry stack out here in the back facing towards the river. And then we also did the dry stack stone wall and gate and everything out front in the courtyard. We also have a gardener on staff, and she did all of the planting, all of the landscaping. So basically from barren wasteland to absolutely stunningly gorgeous and unique, we did everything. We are what is called a certified aquascape contractor. It is a very exclusive group to be in. I'm the only CAC around. So everybody else who says they do ponds, they're landscapers who dabble in ponds, whereas I'm a pond expert. We don't build just holes with water and pretty rocks and things flow. We actually build ecosystems. This is an actual self-sustaining ecosystem. Really what you want to do with what we're doing is you want to give them something that nobody else has. And when they entertain and they have people over, they have those types of reactions of, oh my God, where did you get this? Who did this for you? This is amazing. So the design process was very intricate. It's very unique. I can guarantee you nobody else has what they have.
That is amazing. The work that you've done on that property, I mean, first of all, it's a ginormous, huge property. Now, where did the planning come into that? Did you do that also? I
The
mean,
planning,
design?
as far as the design goes, no, I did not do all of the design on that one. I definitely helped. So basically what happened is that entire backyard was it was dirt except for that huge tree that you saw in the backyard. Like it was literally nothing back there.
Eroded away and everything from the river.
Yeah,
and-
well, it was bought out of foreclosure by the current owners, and they took it and they remodeled, and all that kind of stuff. And they had the river back there, and that's one of the things that I get a lot of pushback on is, well, I have the river or I have the lake back there, but a river or a lake, it doesn't make noise.
Right.
I mean, the sound of water, I mean, it is subconsciously in our mind. The sound of running water makes you feel safe. It
Yes.
makes you feel calm. Anybody who lives by a babbling brook or something like that, they will tell you it calms you, it centers you. Water, because it's one of the survival skills that you have to have, is water. It makes us feel safe. So even with them being next to the river, we were still able to do that. And so they actually have a study that was right there, and it had big double doors, and that was the owner's like I said, it was the owner's study, and they never spent any time in there. They never even really thought of spending it. But after we put in that water feature, they spent more time in that room than they did their own bedroom.
Water's kind of like fire.
Right.
I can sit there and watch it all day long and just be totally amazed with it. It never gets old.
Exactly.
So you didn't design that one, but you did do all the work on that.
Yeah, I did do the work. At that point in the time, that was really early in the company. We had another gentleman working for us who had he had a great talent and a great eye for that, and he did majority of the design on that, and me and the crew did all of the work on it.
So someone comes to you and they have an idea what they want.
Right.
You can help them make the design
Oh,
and
yeah.
the layout. So
Yeah.
you can do that. You have all the. Do you use CAD? What do you use to design this stuff with?
I'm old school. My dad was an architect kind of guy, and I still have
Easel and square
I have a drafting table and everything. And actually, that's what I was doing earlier today all day. Is I was actually coming up with designs for a couple other clients that want a couple water features in their backyard.
I still prefer the old school way.
Nothing.
There's nothing like creating with pencil and paper.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, what is the difference? I mean, we were talking about the stuff that people get in their homes. They always look good for maybe the first season, and then after that, leaves and junk get caught in them. They don't flow anymore. Why is it that your water features continue to flow and the DIYers just gets clogged up and jammed and just looks horrible after a year?
So, like I said in the video, now that water feature is about 5 years old now. It's really matured. But we've actually gone back and we've done the maintenance on it one time in the spring, in the fall, to make sure those issues don't happen. And what I like to tell my clients is every water feature that we build at Aquascapes of Michiana, we actually maintain as well, because that's the difference between what you saw in that video and what you've seen, the horror stories that you've heard and you've seen out there.
So when we're talking about maintenance, so I guess the DIYer, when we think maintenance, I scoop the leaves out that get in there. What are you doing that's different that what the DIYer's doing?
So some of the things that just product knowledge and execution and things like that is number one. If you have fish, I have some clients that have multi-$1,000 koi fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're talking big.
Better make that work.
Exactly. So, for that, you've got to make sure that the water quality is right, the water conditions are right. There's no bacteria in there that's going to affect them, no viruses or any type of sickness that they're going to get. So what we do is we actually take the fish, we take some of the pond water and we put it into what we call a porta tank.
Okay.
It folds out. It's usually blue. It's about 3 feet tall, and we pump some of the water out of there. While the water's pumping out into the new tank, we actually catch the koi fish or the goldfish or anything like that, and we actually transfer them into the tank. We put an aerator in there so we can add oxygen to the water, because that'll help with the stress levels of the fish from moving from place to place. And we'll completely empty out the pond. We will bring in our commercial hot water power washers, and we will power wash everything. Oh yeah, it flies. Every year I buy my crew and myself a new raincoat and wader bibs, and you have to wear that every day because you are just covered in fish poop. We're just gonna call it that. It's fish poop. It is. And so one guy's on the power washer and they're power washing everything down. The pump's still running because as water adds to the bottom of the pond, that pump will kick on and we suck all that bad, nasty stuff out. Another guy will have a bucket or a bag and they'll be scooping up the leaves and doing all that kind of stuff. That guy, when he gets done with the leaves, will actually double check your systems. Right. So we're actually checking your filtration system to make sure that something didn't go wrong in the wintertime. Or we're double checking your pump to make sure that you had so much stuff during the season that it didn't actually collapse the gate that actually is over the spout where the water goes for the intake of the water. If all that stuff is under warranty, which most of that stuff when we install it is under warranty still after a few years. So we're already there. If you have a defective product and it's still under warranty, we're already replacing it for you. We're already there.
So I have two videos. I have a before and after. So this is, I do believe this was a pond that someone had put in.
So this is a pondless waterfall.
Okay.
And it was actually paid for. No, somebody actually paid
money
another contractor to put this in. So
this comes down to, I'm going to assume this was a landscaper that
dabble in ponds, and I'm a pond expert who dabbles in landscaping.
Okay,
yes.
So let's go ahead and roll the before video on that. And while we're rolling that, why don't you tell us what we're looking at?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so here we go.
So as you can see, that's the basin right there, and that where the rock.
There should be water coming into that.
There should be, yes. That is a waterfall. So there should be flowing water. That's it, fully on right there. Yep.
So halfway down, it just disappears. It's not even a water feature after that point.
Nope, it's got a nice trickle. As you can kind of see, they use flagstone to get the shelving effect off of it, which it's a nice effect, but you can definitely do it without having to use cheap flagstone. You can kind of see that their sides are wide open, so there's a lot of area for water to actually just travel out of the stream and dissipate into the ground.
Is that what's happening to this? Why?
Yeah.
The water only goes so far. Rocks are dry from that. It just looks like a regular, landscaping after a certain point.
It looks like a dry riverbed that just happened to get wet after.
So that's just leaking out.
Yep.
Percolating into the ground, and that's it.
So wow. And then the rubber down there at the bottom, that's actually covering the plumbing. So what they did is they took the liner and they just kind of covered everything up. They put some rocks around it, and you could still see it shooting off to the.
Right, you're not supposed to see the bladder. That's underneath
So like
there.
I said, for being a certified, I'm actually a master certified aquascape contractor. But the goal of being a certified aquascape contractor is, like I said, biomimicry.
Right.
I want you to look at that thing and think that you built your house next to a waterfall, not a waterfall next to your house.
Exactly. So now here's the cool part. Let's take a look at the after video. Go ahead and roll that. It's night and day difference. I mean, look at right here from this distance. Where you're at with the overhead shot. Look at the flow on that.
Yep.
It's not trickling.
No.
That's rapids.
Yep. So as you can see that there's actually no standing water, so that's why we call this a pondless basin, because there's no pond at the bottom. So the water actually just disappears and it's in its own basin there with water storage. And we kept the same footprint. That is the same. We did not dig anything else out. That's the same exact footprint. But that's the difference between paying somebody who is a landscaper who dabbles in ponds and then actually getting a certified aquascape contractor to do the project.
That's amazing. Because that totally looks like a different pond. Doesn't even look like the same one. I can't even believe, because I know when I was looking at these earlier, I thought, I think the water is actually supposed to go all the way to the bottom of this thing.
Yeah.
So that is amazing.
So our goal with the reason why, one of the reasons why we want that much flow, we want you to be able to, not from an aesthetic standpoint, but not only do I want you to be able to hear this waterfall or this pond when you're outside your house. I want you to be able to hear it when you're in your kitchen cooking. I want you to be able to hear it when you're watching TV at night, and you're just hanging out with your family. I want your water feature to lullaby you to sleep in the summertime when you open your window. And that's part of the design. Part of the design is me actually going in the house and seeing where you're going to be at into retrospect of where the waterfall is proposing to be. And I might change things.
I can picture myself with that feature that you had updated there and having a hammock out there in the shade, just swinging away, listening to the cool water.
I had a client, and we just did a couple bubbling boulders. You know, they're just little, you know, they were only about this big, and we did a couple of them. And he said that after we installed them, that he is now sleeping outside. he
Why
comes
not?
Out, he's got a stressful job. He comes home at night. You know, he grabs it. You know, he has dinner with his family. He grabs a beer. He goes out on the back porch, and he says, "I wake up at almost every night. I do that. I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning."
Home.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
He wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "Oh crap! I fell asleep out here again."
So I want to move along because Aquascapes is a huge company.
Aquascape Inc. is a huge company.
Huge company. Yes. And then you have all of you guys that have your own businesses, and you're working. You work close with them, right? Because I think last year you were down in Florida. I've seen your live feeds that you were doing all this high-speed training. And the block system is pretty amazing, which is the key part of your whole system that makes it work.
Yes.
So explain that block system.
So they're called aqua blocks, and we've got two sizes. We've got a small and we've got a large. And a small will hold 27 gallons of water. A large will hold 32 gallons of water. Now, if you were to take, 1.5 inch, what a lot of other contractors like to do is they just dig a big hole and then they put their little pump vault down there at the bottom. They just fill it in with rock. So if you were to take that rock and you were to form it in the shape of a large aqua block, you would only be able to hold maybe 2 to 5 gallons of water, depending on the size of that stone. Wow. So what it does is it gives you a dedicated voided area for you to be able to have your water storage. And then also from a cleaning and a maintenance standpoint is when you do bury it all in with rock, all those crevices get clogged. Right. Organic matter is going to get in there. It's going to happen. But with that aqua block system, you have that void for it to get in and then go to the pump vault, and then you stick your clean out pump in there and you suck it all out, and it's good to go.
It's kind of like what the internal wall vacuums for a house.
Right.
It sucks it all to one central unit, and then you just pull it out and throw it away.
And you just pull it out and throw it away.
So Aquascapes also has Aquascape has a fundraiser, not really a fundraiser, a foundation.
Yeah.
And you guys travel to like Africa and other countries, and you use this block filtration system, and you're making clean water collection areas for for people.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead. We're going to watch that video now, and this will actually show the whole block system that you got.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and watch that video, and then we're going to talk about Aquascape Foundation.
Our daily trips to the job site were always interesting. People will start singing songs, telling jokes, especially on the first day going out. People are just excited and ready to get things happening. The first day that we got to the job site, this was what we saw, and I was super thankful. I give measurements to the network and to the locals on doing the excavation, so I'm always really concerned because I haven't seen it. I don't know if the excavation's done properly. But when I showed up on the job site, I did my calculations, I started getting measurements. They were within an inch all the way around on this excavation, so it's just unbelievable.
When we pulled up, people jumped out of that bus so fast, and 4 hours later we had the entire first hole lined and in and filled. It was amazing the amount of work that got done the first 4 hours.
We had one big group putting these blocks together, and then we had the other crew kind of getting ready, preparing for the pumps and the things like that, so doing a little bit more of the technical stuff. And once we started doing that, all the kids started coming in. They've kind of been hanging around us the entire time, but they didn't really have much to do. As soon as the aqua blocks came out, I mean, it was like a giant Lego set for them. They just started grabbing sticks and stuff to pound these things together.
For 2-3 straight hours, they would sit and just put together aqua blocks. It was just awesome to see them take ownership of the project and want to be involved. And I think that every time they see that water coming out, I think they're going to think that they were part of that.
We pulled out a dozen buckets and we had to move sand. These kids were shoulder to shoulder. They were just packed in so tight because every single one of them wanted to touch the bucket. They all just want to be a part of it.
They love getting their picture taken. They never have seen a picture of themselves. And so when you take their picture, they immediately all crowd around you to see the picture. And then they laugh and they point to each other and they all crack up laughing.
I think it gave us, great moral support. Just having them around and having their energy around us all the time was wonderful. And they busted their butts. So these kids were not afraid to get dirty at all. I mean, they would actually fight over who would have the shovel next.
There was a boy that was physically handicapped, and this boy worked for 10 straight hours. He never stopped. At the end of the day, John Adams just took the shoes off his feet and gave them to this kid. And so it was just great to see our team just working hard in that community and giving a guy the shoes right off their feet.
What they did here on our project was they brought in some of the local contractors to learn. They basically shadowed us for 6 days. They were asking for direction and they wanted to know exactly how we were doing it, why we were doing it, how they're going to maintain it. Because these are the guys that are going to take care of it. They're taking ownership for it, but they were truly, truly interested. The ultimate goal would be to train teams of people to do this within their own country. That's when we really know we've made it.
We also had 2 members of our team give a talk about the importance of clean water. Their plan was to teach the students and teach the students' parents about clean water. Hopefully, drinking clean water and being educated about the value of clean water in the long run will bring some of these kids better health. The last day, they had a little celebration ceremony and presented us with a plaque thanking us for bringing clean water to their school.
What a great way to end it all, having all the kids present, all the different people that were a part of it, just another way to celebrate another successful project.
There's so many different components to this trip, and every single one of them was unique to all of us.
The Nile River is one of the mightiest rivers in the world. Pictures don't do it justice. Video does not do it justice. It was a fitting end to a great trip. We came to bring the gift of water to this village in Africa, and then we top it off by seeing one of the most amazing waterfalls in the world.
The Aquascape Foundation, what an amazing thing this company is doing.
And Carla Whitstock, she, bless her heart, she is an absolute angel. She's an amazing person, and she put all this together to be able to do this. And, I've not personally been on one of those trips, but I want to so bad.
You
but
have
just
to.
giving back, for all the things that we do,
Yes.
just giving back to people, it's just great. And actually, if anybody's watching at home that wants to make a donation, you can actually go to Amazon Smile, and the Aquascape Foundation is actually a selectable charity that you can do. So as you're buying product on Amazon, like everybody does, they will actually make a donation to the Aquascape Foundation.
And that's one of the reasons why it kind of popped up that I wanted to have you on the show, because there's a special place in my heart for Uganda, because my last tour when I went overseas with the Army was in Uganda, where we were training the Ugandan forces over there. But I met so many great people in the country. Right. It's a beautiful country.
Right.
Nicest people in the world, and they have all the respect in the world for us, because we have a lot of Americans that do missionary trips over there. You have Aquascape Foundation that's coming over there and helping them out, and these people have the most respect in the world for us, and they don't take anything for granted, and they appreciate the help that we're giving them. And as a matter of fact, I want to go give a shout out to Joel, because I know that you watch this show every week, and Joel is someone that I met that is actually he's probably still in Jinja or maybe Kampala, but yeah, he watches every week and follows
What's up,
us.
Joel?
Say hey to everybody in Uganda there. I know your weather's a lot nicer than ours right now. It's like, 30 degrees, maybe 35 degrees, with the talk of snow in the forecast. So enjoy your nice sunny skies again tomorrow. So anyway, if someone wants to get a hold of you, because maybe we've convinced them that Water Features is probably not a DIY project, I'm verifying that. I'm going to give 5 hammers down that this is not a good project for someone to take on just because of all the problems you can run into. Water on top of it, let me remind you people, water is the most damaging thing to any house. So that should be the first clue. Don't mess with it yourself. So how do people get in touch with you to get a proper job done?
Hey, we're actually very accessible. I mean, we're on, Facebook. I got a YouTube channel that we drop a vlog every single week on Friday at 8 p.m. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. For all you young kids, I am on TikTok. I am the Hoosier Aquaman, so you guys look me up. But you know, we've got our general website, aquascapesofmichiana.com, and you can always get a hold of us, you know, through email, info@aquascapesofmichiana, or you can give us a phone call at 574-361-7745.
Or you can do the modern day thing and just Google Aquascape of Michiana.
Yeah, you can do
He'll
that.
pop up that way too. So anyway, that is our show tonight. Thank you very much for coming in. Got to have you come back again.
Oh yeah, we're going to be doing a part 2.
We finally come to the conclusion. Everybody that we've ever had in, it's just like so much to talk about what they do. So this is my kind of getting to know you and your business. And then next time we'll come in and we'll talk about one thing that you do and we'll and talk about it in detail.
Nice.
So, thanks for everybody tuning in and watching it again. Don't forget, it's every Thursday night, Facebook, 8 o'clock right here. And it's the Tool Shed. Till next time, DIY until you die.